Is that a burnt orange 1993 station wagon?
Or is it?
And then this car bursts into the scene. My goodness, my best plans for the channel's release schedule can suddenly get blown out the window when something like this comes across the screen. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is getting all the attention it rightfully deserves, cementing the importance of animation for movies beyond the superhero genre, saying once again that the animated medium is still as powerful today as it was in the early days of cinema. I want to explore the side avenue of the Sturdy Sensible, the old Iron Eagle of Rick and Linda. If you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. I like taking these detours into the cars of my watch library and hope you enjoy. If you're a repeat viewer, you know the drill. Let's explore the history, talk about the discourse of technology in the movie, and why the Sturdy Sensible is so sensible for the Sturdy Mitchell family. Animated cars have been around since the beginning of 3D animation and Toy Story. But even before then, the animated car had very specific appearance cues. What I really mean is, from Goofy Movie to Storks, Home, and Big Hero 6, animated movies have kept basically the same proportions. There are several noteworthy deviations, and we'll get to those, but what I said previously shouldn't be news to you viewers. From 2D to 3D animation, the art team designs for pretty tall windows in order to create a sizable frame from the outside into the character's environment. Most of these stories focus heavily on between 2 to 5 characters, so anytime we can expose them through that window, the better. Because of this, cars in animated movies don't draw too much attention. In some ways, they're a second camera frame to position the characters in. They're unassuming character movers, which is perfect for what the movie needs. You see some movies like 101 Dalmatians, which has a realistically proportioned Panther DeVille for Cruella, and Atlantis, also with its inventory of Ford-inspired vehicles. I'm sure you can leave a comment of many more realistically proportioned animated vehicles, but the exceptions which I will be giving further attention to in this video will be Toy Story's Toyota Helix Pizza Planet delivery truck and Coraline's Volkswagen Beetle. In addition to creating a large window frame inside the camera frame for the movie audience, the larger vehicle proportions match the character design as well. In typical animated fashion, any given character's head is larger in proportion to the rest of their bodies. Extending this to the cars is typical but not always the case, especially with the aforementioned Pizza Planet truck and Volkswagen Bug. What makes those vehicles so specific to their stories is important to maintaining those real-life proportions. For Toy Story, really the benefit is the labeling on the truck's tailgate. While it says, "Yo," adult viewers would also be able to see this as a toy, which isn't crucial, but it was the first large-scale 3D animated movie. So while they played with the proportions for Andy's family car, they must have still been using reference drawings for the delivery truck's model. For Coraline, we turn to Carson Runquist, who has an incredible video detailing the many bugs within the world of Coraline in both her real life and other life. Bugs feed the other mother and enrich that world for her nefarious purposes. Extending that design choice from the other world into that movie's real world is a wonderful example of Cinemotive design. I encourage you to check out Carson if you're not already.
Ladies and gentlemen, the only car in the film is a Volkswagen Bug.
And that brings us to the Sturdy Sensible, the first personified character car in an animated movie in my recollection. But in all seriousness, not very many animated movies, let alone movies in general, personify their vehicles the way Rick does to their family vehicle. In this way, Cars doesn't fit the bill that I'm looking for. But why deviate in this movie specifically to give so much attention for what Rick has affectionately named
Old Iron Eagle?
To answer that, let's look to some narratives for the movie. This movie does a very specific job at weaving multiple narratives. In one of these narratives, they skirt the line of calling technology devices evil while narrowly considering other technological AIs, like the many used inside streaming services, as okay. While this is true in a very select mindset, data is generally a good thing, if harnessed in the right way. Technology allows you to do a wealth of things creatively and socially, which got many people, including myself, through these past 15 months. The video represents that perspective with equal measure, but there needs to be opposition in this movie, and so we land on technological devices. The premise of why this car is so good for this specific instance is that there's no trackable hardware, nothing that will offer a digitized ping to the pursuing Palmax bots. They would only be relying on visuals, their cameras, to see the car. Now, from a top-down point of view, it might seem silly that Katie's idea would work, but this actually checks out with current computer vision pipelines. To discern the difference between painted car and road, you need a very tight tolerance between two compared images. And while the car is moving minimally, out of center with the road, the robot is also moving and has to take into account the travel velocity in three directions and camera angle, which presents a lot of autonomous noise, rendering the tight tolerances required to be impossible. There are much more intelligent people than me when it comes to artificial intelligence and computer vision, and one of these people might say, well, the robots could just see the windshield anomalies, and my response would be, yes, but what would they do with that image? It's not like there are libraries of just vehicle windshields, and if the Palmax robots can't tell the difference between a golden retriever and a pug, then I'm not sure they'd have the neural networks capable of investigating windshields. Autonomous vehicles are complicated, and I delve a little bit deeper into them with my Sonic the Hedgehog video since Dr. Robotnik uses these autonomous vehicles exclusively, but I fear going too into the weeds with this concept since I still don't fully know what my viewers like or dislike. And we still have to talk about how much digitization, or lack thereof, is in the Sturdy Sensible. While there are computer chips for engine and transmission control as early as the 1970s, the computers that Palmax bots would be triggered by are GPS devices. In this history exploration, the first use of a GPS system is in the 1990 Mazda Unos Cosmo, a higher-end vehicle in the Mazda lineup. Where GPS devices become more common is in the mid-1990s, right in that sweet spot. GM, the potential maker of the Sturdy Sensible, we'll get into it, started making their version of a GPS unit for Avis rental cars in 1992, and then became factory options for Oldsmobile 88's 1995 model year. GuideStar from GM needed previously mapped cartridges in order for this GPS system to work. But we need to look no further than this because we can now turn to the finicky world of identifying the car and model it most closely resembles. Palmax robots were able to identify it as a 1993 burnt orange station wagon. They were about to offer another guess before getting run over, and over the course of making this video, it's frustrating me that I don't know what their second guess is, but in the movie universe, we're given everything else already to identify this 1993 Sturdy Sensible with manual transmission. Jalopnik has done all the dirty work of identifying what a real-life approximate would be, which makes my job easy. Their investigation landed them on the Chevrolet Celebrity Wagon. But after that, I needed to do some revisions. Of course, the Celebrity ended production well before 1993, but Jalopnik's staff mislabeled the closest model year appearance to be that of 1988, which is not the case. The front end and taillights more closely resemble the 1984 to 85 model year. Using this, we can ask the main question: is this the right vehicle for the character? In Mitchell's vs. Machines, the characters this car belongs to are both Rick and Linda. Many first-time watchers would be tempted to say it belongs solely to Rick, but these bumper stickers tell us that Linda has just as much say in the family vehicle as Rick. Would the Chevrolet Celebrity be the right vehicle for Rick and Linda? There are two ways to go about answering this question, and I'm going to start with the path that will yield a clear and resounding yes before sowing any seeds of doubt. The Chevrolet Celebrity, of course, didn't have a GPS navigation system, and so there is no positioning that the robots could pick up on. The Celebrity also had an optional 5-speed manual, which fits just for those Rick Mitchell special occasions. For a handyman leaving his hand-built cabin in 2003, I find it a bit strange that he didn't have a truck, but I think the Sensible was one of the first of many easy sacrifices which Rick made in order to foster a loving home. And so, would a handyman go for a used vehicle that was 10 years off the production line? Absolutely. But the Chevrolet Celebrity is front-wheel drive and had fuel injection. Now that comment is under the purview of Rick's perceived inability to learn anything new. Hopefully, that presents a nice umbrella as we segue into the explanation. I'll probably get stomped on for the fuel injection comment first, so let's talk about it. Ford started using fuel injection in their trucks pretty early, the 1980s. GM didn't add direct fuel injection into their lineup until 2003, while using other forms of fuel injection previous to that. So while the methods and processes of fuel injectors weren't new material, they would be about as new as YouTube is to the current day. Front-wheel drive is also not new to the scene in 2003. But again, Rick is changing from either a rear-wheel drive or 4x4 truck or some kind of all-wheel drive hauler in the woods to a front-wheel drive station wagon. A station wagon that Rick has in various levels of personal care and upkeep between those bumpers. In theory, he wholeheartedly plunged into learning new mechanical systems as a sacrifice for his growing family. This car is the right vehicle for Linda, there is no argument there. But with Rick, we have opposing sides to his character. At one point in his life, he was so readily able to learn new systems if it meant providing a better life for his children. But at another point in his life, 17 years later, he balks at creating social media profiles to connect with his kids. It would be synonymous with trading in a Honda Civic for a used Nissan Leaf, and then in 15 years not being willing to ride in a flying car. Even so, these people exist, and I wouldn't be surprised if I became one of them. Think about learning all that new information, working so intensely on one vehicle for the next 20 years, and filling your potential brain capacity. That's not entirely how it works, but at some point in your life you become comfortable in a routine. You become comfortable in the routine because you were uncomfortable for a period of time. Then you get thrown into this exponentially evolving digitized climate, and changing to keep up becomes a lot harder. With so many of its weaving narratives, there's this unspoken one that only comes across if we stop to explore the ease of Rick's decision in 2003. For our children, it's easy to give up our dreams. Think about that and apply it today. If we can create a better world for our children tomorrow, why not coach their t-ball team? Take that PTO. Learn to cook. Transition away from fossil fuels. If the decision comes down to the question, is this better for my children? And the answer to the question is yes, then this should be easy. So is this the right vehicle for the Mitchells? Yes. The station wagon is frequently modeled in the animated world, but despite its overuse, I enjoyed seeing it in this gem of a movie. It was a character to me, not on the same level as the human members of the Mitchell family, but maybe as crucial to the narrative as Monchi. I love that there were subtle hints that both Rick and Linda had equal say in the purchase and maintenance of the car, and think it fits both their styles well. Personifying vehicles can be hard, but animating them makes it just a touch easier. And if your car has been in your life for at least 17 years without having a personal moniker or two, then you're doing it wrong. Thanks for watching. This one was a departure in the sense that I've only ever done production vehicles in real life, but I've had some recommendations for spacecrafts and the Batmobile, and so I wanted to stretch myself. The Mitchells vs. the Machines was a lot of fun to watch in our movie night group and with my kids. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you have another car you'd like me to analyze, animated or live action, let me know in the comments below. Finally, make sure to subscribe because there's more of this stuff coming your way. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next one.